Hey everybody and welcome. Hopefully this is coming through alright and it's not too jerky. Nope, I've just seen myself pop up. That looks fine. So today I'm going to try and deploy K3S, Rancher, Longhorn, Traefik, PiHole, and then get on to Authentik. So I'll be following my scripts. So hopefully some of you have had a chance to play with that, or if you haven't yet had a chance to play with it, maybe this will give you the opportunity to see it in real time and hopefully give you some confidence to go and do that. I've got some much needed liquid refreshment. It is a Saturday night. I hope you guys have too. But right, let's get stuck into it. There might be some times where I stall and go off screen a little bit just because obviously I'm sharing my screen and there might be some sensitive stuff that I'm looking at, like secrets, etc. And I try my best not to disclose those to the world. So I'm going to log into Proxmox. And hopefully you can see that now. And in Proxmox, you can see that I've created this new set of virtual machines just for this video. So these are pretty much the same ones that I've used in the actual recorded demonstrations. And if you look at them, there's nothing really too fancy here. The key things really are to... I've tagged them with a VLAN because I want this on its own VLAN. I've made sure that I've increased the memory size, the storage size on the hard drives. They've got 4 gigs and 4 cores each. That's probably the bare minimum. Longhorn, you might want to give them a bit more. I think I've given them 24 gigs, but you can easily edit this at a later date. So if you click on one of these, you can just go to the disk action, and then you can just hit resize, and that should dynamically change it. And the next time you turn off and on that VM, it should pick up that size adjustment. It won't do it in real time, so if you do like a restart, that won't actually apply. Hey everybody, hey to Bosnia, hey to Brazil. I can't believe I've got people on here from all over the world. The last time I did one of these, I think I had about 4 people, so really appreciate all of the support and following, and yeah, feel free to ask any questions in the chat. I'll try to answer them as I deploy this cluster. So one thing I get a lot of questions about is this admin VM here. Now this is totally optional. I just put it here because I imagined you want to do this from a remote machine. This doesn't have to be a standalone virtual machine. This could be this Windows machine I'm on now, using something like Windows subsystem for Linux. So could be pretty much anything you want it to be. So I'm going to boot up all of these virtual machines now, and because it's the first time that they're starting up, because they're cloud images with cloud init, they're going to go and pull all of the updates, which is great. The issue is this might make my stream lag a little bit because I'm still on a copper phone line, which is not ideal. The benefit is that I am getting fiber. So the other day I was looking outside and a load of engineers in high-vis jackets were laying some fiber, so really excited for that. Not only will that help me with sort of my production pipeline for videos, it takes me hours to upload a video to YouTube, and then it takes hours for YouTube to re-encode it. So the actual whole pipeline of me getting videos is a bit of a nightmare because of my bandwidth issues. And it means that there's certain things I can't really demonstrate as much as I want to on my videos. I would love to get in a position where I can do some cloud stuff baked into a home lab, but a lot of that is dependent on things like your actual bandwidth. So I think before I've showed like the the Oracle VMs. It'd be great to have like an Oracle VM on your home lab, and I'm really keen to see whether you could even have that in, say, your Kubernetes environment. Who knows? Those are all things that I can hopefully play for. So I'm going to have a look at this admin here and just jump into the console just to see if those updates have finished yet. No, these are all still building. However, because I've used these VMs a long time, I've already got the details to connect to them. This is taking... Where are we? Okay, so it's still got quite a few to go. One thing that's really handy, guys, is if you go to the snapshots. So before you boot this up, you can see that I've created one. I just called it fresh. And taking a snapshot at this point is really good if you're playing around. It means that after you've sort of right-clicked and cloned, if you create a snapshot just after you've done that, it means that you can always fall back to a clean installation rather than having to create all of these virtual machines again, which is a real pain, especially if you're sort of testing this stuff out. So I'm going to now jump onto my WinSCP, and I know a lot of other people prefer to use other tools. Yeah, I probably should use something different. There are better solutions out there, but this works nice for me, and I think for people that are new to this stuff, it really gives you a feel for it. So, so here you can see it's saved as RKE2 admin on my WinSCP, but it's actually the K3S admin. I've renamed it. So just ignore this bit here. It is this machine. So now if we go over to my GitHub, you'll know that to get this up and running, we should just have to copy the K3S deployment script. So on my other screen now, I've got my VS Code open, and I'm just going to be copying and pasting from here because this is just synced up to my GitHub anyway. But I'm going to pull this over to the other screen, but just so you know, that's kind of what I'm doing in the background. So I'm going to copy and paste this. I'm going to create that new file. So let's just call it k3s.sh. I'm going to paste that in here. Luckily, or selfishly, these are all configured for my IPs. So you'll need to change these if you're using a different subnet, or you could just create this subnet here and get it up and running. A few people get tripped over by sort of what the VIP is. I should probably change this because that should be a 3 in my instance, so this should be on the same subnet as here. And what the VIP is pretty much says here, it's a virtual IP. So this is an IP address that's going to be shared between all 3 master nodes, so that when you talk to the API, so through kubectl, it doesn't really matter which master's up and running, and that's why you've got high availability, because it distributes traffic to this IP address across these nodes. I think it actually does a round robin, I might be wrong, but it'll basically try it, and then whichever responds, they all talk to each other to say it's responded. And these 2 here are my workers, and we're going to add to that in a little bit. So the rest of it is pretty straightforward, and again I'm going to change this to be 3.60 to 3.80, and again this is just 20 odd IP addresses that are in this subnet 3, my VLAN 3, sorry, and these are IP addresses that I know have not been taken. These are the only IP addresses used on this VLAN. All of this is just for my K3S deployment. So as you can see here, there's nothing that's going to conflict with this range. And these here are all statically mapped within my Sophos under a DHCP lease. So this machine here, the MAC address of that is tied to this IP address, and that's why I can specify that in here, and I know it's going to work. Great, just checking for questions. No questions just yet. Sorry, D Bishop. Okay, 2 or more. I'm not going to do that in today's video, but absolutely there will be people that have more than one domain, and you're probably wondering how to do that. So I'll come on to that. I haven't actually done that before, but I know it is possible. So okay, this is all right now. I'm going to change the properties of this one to make it executable. And then I need to add my certs. So I'll just go and grab those. Again, just going off screen because I've got these in a special place. And so just drop those here. So we're in the home Ubuntu folder, so just whatever your home users directory is. I've dropped in these 2 certificate files, and these certificate files are taken from my Proxmox Dell on this box, and I think if I go to /root.ssh, yeah, you can see that they're here. So if you weren't sure where these were coming from, these are basically just in the root folder for Proxmox. Now, probably the best way would be to generate your own key pair, etc., for a security perspective, because you could technically go back and connect. But because I put this on a VLAN, that VLAN 3 does not have access to my Proxmox virtual environment. So not ideal using the public keys, and sorry, the private key, and I can change that at a later date. But from an actual threat base for a home lab, I think it's fine. Wow, thank you, Mark. That's unreal. Extremely generous. Thank you so much. I'll definitely raise a glass to that one. Okay, it's kind of derailed me. Wow, thank you. So going back to my admin machine, I'm now going to open up PuTTY again. Use your shell of choice. I'll drag that over. I'll make this a little bit bigger so you can read this. 20 is the one I usually use for my videos. Okay, great. Yeah, so you can see that I'm connected on 3.5, which is this machine here. So now, fingers crossed, famous last words. I'm going to run this script and let's see what happens. So /K3S, here goes. So it hasn't found K3S up because it's fresh install, so it's going to go and download that. It also hasn't found kubectl, again, fresh install, and that's what we're going to use to remotely manage the cluster. Next up, it should go and download and install Docker to create the kubevip.yaml. Now, I am probably going to change that, because if you've deployed my RK2 script, you'll see that it actually pulls the config file from my GitHub. Let me just get that up on screen. So back into VS Code. Let me see if I can remember. Yeah, I remember the shortcut. If I go to RK2, yeah, you can see here, this K3S file. So this is actually what this process here is doing. So the whole thing about installing Docker and creating the manifest file, etc. Sorry, the daemon set. That's this one here to create the daemon set. So I can probably streamline the K3S deployment significantly to just go and use this here. And the beauty of this one here is that I've removed the node part, which was only putting it on the masters. Now with this one here, it will mean that kubevip gets installed onto the masters and the workers. And now you might be thinking, why is that important? Well, when we come on to changing the external traffic policy within Traefik to local, that only works when kubevip is installed on every node. Because typically what kubevip is doing is creating almost like a networking middle layer, which makes it highly available, which is awesome, and ideally you would want. The issue is you lose the source IP address. So for things like CrowdSec and PiHole, where you want to know where's the source IP, you need to go and change it to something like this, whereby each node has kubevip running and the traffic is sent directly to that node so it can honor and remember the source IP address. Right, so let's jump back in here. How are we getting on? Great, okay, so it's connected to the first node, I believe. And now it's onto the second one. So great, I'm going to leave that up on the screen. Any sort of questions? Is there a way to specify multiple NIC interface names in case we use multiple hypervisors? Or should we rename them all to Eth0? My understanding is that the interface name is typically denoted by the distribution of Linux you're running and how you're running it. So, for example, I think if you use Ubuntu, it always comes up as Eth0. However, if you were running Ubuntu as a Q35 machine and not the what is it, i440, sort of the older school one, it actually shows up, I think, as EMP, so Ethernet PCI, and hopefully, depending on which one you're using, that shouldn't change, because with the beauty of the cloud init is you're basically replicating the same virtual machine. So if it works once, it should be the same every single time. No, I haven't looked at Canal instead of Flannel just yet. I'm not sure exactly what the advantage of that is at the moment. As far as I'm aware, this K3S install script and the subsequent scripts are making everything work. So definitely something I'm interested in looking at. And for the RKE2, I'm also looking at using Cilium to make that work. Perfect. Here we go. So Nginx now should be available at 192.168.3.60. So let's hop into the browser and have a look at that. So fingers crossed we get welcome to Nginx. Boom, there we go. Excellent. So that's working. So if we hop back in, yeah, we can see that kubevip has installed on the 3 master nodes, which is what I expected, because I'm not using the K3S daemon set that is on my GitHub. But if you're in this position because you used my old script, I'll show you how you can replicate that. Muse, yeah, absolutely. I want this to be as collaborative as possible at Jim's Garage. I know a bit of stuff about a lot of stuff, but I'm not an expert at many things, so the more the merrier. If you guys have got experience and you can help out, jump onto GitHub, feel free to put in a pull, or hop into Discord and we can set up a forum, a channel, and we can get talking. I'd love to have lots of different options so that people can choose exactly what they want to use. And my longer term goal with this is to move away from a script. The reason I came up with the script was because no one else was doing it. And that might be because, well, it's the wrong tool for the job. But I thought that this was a really simple way for people to literally look through the script and understand, actually, it's quite simple. It's just making a number of commands. It's not actually too technical. My longer term aspirations for this are to use JetPorch. Now, you might be thinking, why aren't you using Ansible? And that's a good point. But in some ways, JetPorch is the spiritual successor to Ansible. There's nothing wrong with Ansible. Ansible's great. But actually, the same person who made Ansible makes JetPorch. And I think there's some animosity around. He kind of sold it off and then wanted to make a new one to possibly sell it again. But it does come with the benefit of it being a new sort of custom for purpose deployment. And it doesn't have a lot of the bloat that Ansible's kind of inherited over time. So I'm really keen to sort of experiment with it. I mean, it's very close to Ansible, and a lot of the scripts already work with it. But I just thought as well it's something new and something that's emergent and possibly something that will become more mainstream. Right, okay, so at this point we should be able to now run a kubectl get nodes. And yeah, there we go, we can see everything. A lot of people, when they do this as well, have mentioned that you get a permission denied or not found with kubectl. And I'll explain how to fix that later on, because it will probably happen to me in a moment. There's an easy way to do it, and probably the easiest way is when we deploy Rancher, because you can actually go into Rancher and download the kube config and then just paste it onto your admin machine over the top of what you've already got. Right, so the next bit is to go and deploy Rancher, I think. This is the difficulty with having so many videos now. I forget exactly which order to go in. So right, the Rancher deployment. Yeah, cool. I'm just going to drag this over to the screen because you don't need to see that. Fine, so the first thing we're going to do is to install Helm. So this should go and install Helm. And we're doing a Helm deployment just because it makes life easier, and pretty much that's the way that Enterprise runs. You create your Helm charts, and then again it basically automates the process, so you're not having to run various commands, which introduces human error. Here we're going to add the Rancher repository, and now I've changed this in an updated script to be the latest and not the alpha. And you'll also see that I've pinned this to the latest stable version of K3S. So this should give you a cluster with latest sort of stable K3S and the latest stable Rancher. So in a good position, and because it's using tags like latest, fingers crossed this should stay current. The next bit, we're going to install Cert Manager. And Cert Manager is required for managing certificates, specifically in things like Rancher and also in Traefik when we deploy that in a moment. So this is going to apply Cert Manager with the custom resource definitions. So this basically allows you to create your own custom definitions, which we'll need to do in a bit when we install Cert Manager and Traefik. We're then going to install the Cert Manager, and we're also going to add JetStack, which is needed for the reflector, because when we get onto Traefik, we need to reflect the certificates. So what that means is you can have a certificate in a certain namespace. So for example, you can have the certificate, your web certificate, in the Traefik namespace, but things like CrowdSec, which will be in their own namespace, that the bouncer needs access to those certificates. So that's a way to share it using the reflector. So great, Cert Manager's already up and running, excellent. So let's now deploy Rancher, and this might take a little while again because I've got terrible internet. But this is straightforward. We're going to install the Helm version of Rancher because we've installed Helm. Create the namespace. I'm just using the defaults here, not going to change anything. And then we're going to watch the deployment rollout. So let's go and have a look at that. So I'll just hop over, see if there's any questions. Thanks, Jeffrey. Yeah, I know you're Trafik's biggest fan. Vinaduro, it says Derby for Derby County. It was actually the scarf that my granddad used to wear. He used to go to all of the home matches. And as a child, I used to go and watch the games with him. So have fond memories of that. And I think it was like a special edition centenary scarf. Right, so that's just going away and installing now. So yeah, this is why I can't wait to get things like fiber, because the number of times I have to spin up and deploy this to make the videos. If I could just have internet that would download this stuff almost instantaneously, that would make life so much easier. So just out of interest, how many of you guys are up and running with Kubernetes now, or have managed to run the script? Who's actually thinking of using it perhaps instead of Docker? I know I still run, I would say basically 90% of my stuff is now running in Kubernetes, but I do still have a few things in Docker, and those are typically things that require hardware pass-through. So things like my frigate, for example, which that video is doing crazy. I can't believe it. It's one of those where you put it out and nothing happens, and then a few weeks later it starts taking off. But I love frigate. I think it's great. But that requires, obviously, in my video, the Coral TPU. Well, it doesn't actually strictly need that anymore. You can use a GPU, which obviously if you've got is much better. But because I've got that Dell R730, that doesn't have any GPU, and it's kind of a double-edged sword in terms of I could put a GPU in that, but even that's kind of a bit of a waste of power. So I tend to use my other Proxmox node, which you can see here, which is the Asus, and that's just a cheapy old 6th gen CPU. I don't know if you can see it. Yeah, an E3 1270V5. So an ancient piece of kit, really. But on that, I can pass through the Coral TPU. So if this machine had a GPU, I might put it into Kubernetes. But again, there's not much point, because I would only have one GPU, and then I'd have to pin my pods to some of those nodes, which kind of defeats the purpose of having high availability. So I just keep that outside in Docker. One day, I would like to get identical Proxmox nodes, or at least in terms of both having a GPU. I still think it's a real shame that you can't get iGPUs on Xeons. I think that would be really cool, because sometimes you just need that little bit of horsepower to get things over the line. But yeah, I get it. They want to force you down buying a GPU and stuff, so that's just the way it is. Oh, that's cool. A 3090 into Proxmox VMs. Yeah, that's going to be able to handle most things. Do you use that for gaming at all? Right, this is taking a while to deploy. I was hoping it would be quicker than this. I'm going to open up another terminal just to have a check. But whilst this is happening, I'm going to start up. Oh, I've already started those up, that's good. But I'm going to start prepping for the Longhorn deployment now. So for Longhorn, where are we? We want to go to Longhorn, and then make sure you click the K3S script if you're doing K3S. Just going to copy and paste this back over to the host. And then we'll just call this one longhorn.sh. Paste that in there. I'm just going to double check everything makes sense. Yep, that all looks good. And you'll probably notice that I actually tweaked this. I changed that to master 1 for the join, just to make life a bit easier, but it will use the VIP in future, because it copies over the VIP file, which has the VIP installed. Okay, that looks good. Yeah, and I added the node label here. I think that was originally missing, which meant you had to go into Rancher and label it or use kubectl, etc. So that should now label the new nodes that we're going to add in the script, and that should work. Oops, yeah, I want to save that. And then I want to make this executable. So that's that. Let's see if we're getting anywhere. Oh, this is better. Fingers crossed we should be up and running in a few minutes. Hey, there we go. So, now we want to create a load balancer for this. So to do that, we're going to expose the deployment rancher in the namespace rancher load balancer, port 443, let's go. So it says it's exposed, so let's double check that. So we'll use our good old friend kubectl to get services in the namespace cattle system. And here you can see it's 192.168.3.61. So fingers crossed. We head into our browser. Remember, this needs to be HTTPS. And if I do that, yay, there we go. So, bootstrap password was, I think it was admin. And I'm going to set, yeah, I'm going to use this random one here just because I don't want to be copying in the ones that I actually use. And I'm going to keep a note of this on my desktop. Right, okay, so I've got that now. So I'll disable that, check in the box, let's hit continue. And as I mentioned before, sometimes when you first create your account, it can kick you out and not look right. So for example here, you can't see my cluster. So actually sometimes you need to refresh this and go again, and then it should show up. Yeah, perfect, there we go. So now I can click on here, and yep, everything looks fine. I've got the 5 nodes, which we can see here. Yeah, great, we're up and running. Now, if you wanted to, you could actually go and install Longhorn through the GUI if you wanted, and this will use a Helm. I prefer to decouple it from Rancher, which is odd because Rancher or SUSE make all of this stuff, but often the app that's available in the app catalog is behind the YAML that Longhorn publish themselves. So I prefer to do it with the YAML, but there's no reason you couldn't do it through this. So now that we've got this up and running, I'm going to hop back into here. We've made sure that this is executable. Everything looks right, so let's just clear that. And then /Longhorn. Fingers crossed, here we go. So that should now be going away, pulling in the new nodes and registering with K3S up. You'll see that it checked whether OpenSCSI was already installed, because that's needed for Longhorn. I did have a few people that the script was erroring out because whatever version, I think it was Debian, they were using Debian 12. I don't think that's installed, but fortunately the Ubuntu Lunar image I'm using, the cloud image, does have that installed. And it probably makes sense being a cloud image with that installed, because you're probably going to want to be mounting things. Do I recommend going back from RKE2 to K3S? It's a funny one. I don't recommend it from a security point of view, because RKE2 is inherently more secure. It's specifically designed to be FIPS compliant for US government. So the security purist in me says no, but for a home lab, yeah, I think K3S is probably the way to go. Certainly when you're trying out K3S to begin with, I think you're going to have far fewer problems. It's much easier to manage, and the number of people running Kubernetes in the home lab scene is probably quite small, but those that do are probably running K3S, so you've probably got a better chance of getting some support. Plus, like I say, it just isn't as locked down as RKE2, so you typically run into fewer problems as well. Things like the external services not working with Traefik properly, that's because of some setting with CIS benchmark 1.6, I believe. Does Kubernetes work through like a Mac VLAN, basically, like a virtual Mac VLAN? I think, Jeffrey, are you meaning the VIP address? Because all the VIP address is basically an IP address that's shared between the master nodes. So in this deployment here, we can see in Rancher, I've got 3 master nodes here. You'll see control plane and XD. Those basically all share that IP address of 3.50. So when I'm running kubectl commands in here, those are being sent to 3.50. Now, it doesn't care which one's responding as long as one does, and that's why you've got that high availability, because you can just basically talk to any of them. The load balancer IP, it's not a Mac VLAN, it's again like a virtual IP address that basically just gets pinned at the service level. So that's a floating IP address that can be picked up by the worker that's currently got the pod that you want to expose as a service. Hey Ganon, no, you're welcome. I really enjoy making this stuff, and it's great helping people out. I was really stuck and didn't know where to go. Struggled and figured all this stuff out, so if any of my videos can help you even the slightest, more than happy to do so. And I think, to be honest, I've learned a ton from doing this as well, because there's so many people out there trying to do this, and you guys are helping me with new ideas, new ways of doing things, and I just want this to be sort of a hub for helping people out. And if I can get the GitHub to be basically a home lab shrine almost, in terms of you can just come here, you can pick up some configurations, and there's a very good chance that it's going to work. That's kind of where I want to get to. This has taken a while. I remember Longhorn does, because I remember quite a few people coming and saying, oh, it's just not working, it's just not working. And typically the reason that this takes so long, I believe, is because the sheer number of containers it's having to pull down. I believe because we are using the Docker hub for this, they made some changes a few years ago in terms of rate limiting. So I think I'm actually coming up against the rate limit. So you'll often see that it will do crash, fall off and back out. So just give it some time and it should work. As you can see, the nodes have joined here, and if I click on one of these, yeah, you can see that all of these pods are now getting deployed. Now, in order to use this, I did fix this for the RKE2 script. If you want to be using Longhorn on your workers, you actually need to add the Longhorn equals true. So I'm going to go into a couple of these nodes now and add those tags. I will update the script to include these, because I've forgotten to do that. So if you're going to edit the config, you can go to labels and annotations, and for this we're going to add worker true, because that's what I use in my scripts. It doesn't have to be that. You can choose any key value pair that you want. As you can see here, there's a different name, Kubernetes IO/OS, and it's set to Linux. So you can pretty much choose whatever you want and then specify it later. I've seen that the quality on my streams dipped. I'm sorry about that. That's because I'm pulling down Longhorn and it's probably killing it. But hopefully it's still understandable and you can hear what I'm chattering on about. So worker's true, Longhorn's true. I'm going to hit save. you'll see that those are now reflected here, and what that will mean is it'll also stick Longhorn onto K3S04, which is a worker node. So I'm also going to go into here, and I'm going to do the same thing again. So on the annotations, let's add worker true, and we're going to do Longhorn true as well. So again, replicated 4 and 5 now, they're exactly the same. Those pods will start getting pulled. Let's actually have a look. Let's have a look at 4 now. Yeah, there you go. You see, Longhorn's now getting pulled down. Excellent. And I think people were asking earlier about images, and handily you can click on the images tab and you can see all the images here. So depending on what you specify in your deployment, you'll see on some of them that I've put the pod pull policy to always. So what that will do is, if you want to update your container, so I think yesterday I put on Discord that Jellyfin had a critical update and you needed to patch it. If you set it to pull policy always, you can literally just click delete on the pod and it will go and pull the latest image, which is great. But obviously if a pod crashes, you don't always want it to be updating. So on things like Longhorn and stuff like that, I would recommend you don't add that the image pull policy, because you don't want your Longhorn suddenly updating with all of your data in your cluster running. You need to prepare for that. So let's head back in there. Yeah, you can see now a lot of these containers are coming up, and there you go. Error image pull back off. I think that's because we're getting rate limited. But fingers crossed, we should be able to go into Longhorn now, and we should start to see some of this stuff up and running. So yeah, there's Longhorn 1, 2, and 3, which if you remember from the script, those are the nodes that we put up first. So that's kind of why they're there. In a moment, I believe Longhorn 4 and 5 will show up as workers 4 and 5 will show up as well, and we're just going to unschedule those so that they don't get used. Oh, sorry guys, 1 second. My wife's just calling. Hopefully it's not the baby. I'll be back in 1 second, guys. I'll just let that install on the screen. No, crisis averted. I did, in fact, open up the cat flap, so we're all good. Okay, so that's still pulling down. There's no volumes because we haven't created any yet, and the Longhorn engine is still not deployed yet. So it needs to deploy both the manager and the engine to the respective nodes before you get the ability to actually start creating volumes. So maybe if we go into the cluster and to the nodes, we'll see that the instance manager is still not up and the engine is still not up. So there you go. That's why that's happening. Oh, the image engine is now up and running. Brilliant. So possibly now we can... here we go. I think... Yeah, we don't get that error anymore because the engine's up and running. And you'll see on the node screen that we've got K3S 04 and 05 up. Now, because those are worker nodes, and you'll see that typically you'd want to put less space on these, you'd probably want to prioritize putting most of your storage space on here. I can actually tick both of those, hit the edit node, and then I don't want them to be schedulable. So hit save, and what that does is it won't put volumes, so when you create a volume here, it won't create them on these. However, it still keeps the engine on these machines because the engine needs to be on both of these nodes so they can actually access Longhorn volumes. If you don't make this change, you can't use a Longhorn volume because it doesn't have the engine on this box. Any questions? Oh, thank you so much for upgrading and subscribing. Really appreciate that. Thank you very much. Okay, so how are we getting on? Yeah, most of these are pretty much done. So I'm going to leave that as is. Oh, more are coming through. Great, great. And I'm going to get on to the next bit, which is the Traefik and PiHole installation. I'm not going to do CrowdSec on this video just because I've shown that and it's just a little bit more fiddly to get on with, and I want to get onto Authentik as quick as possible. And just so you know, I haven't actually done Authentik, so you'll see me struggle in real time. But I've looked through it and the instructions look fairly reasonable, so I've got high expectations. But I want to get up Traefik now. I'm going to be doing a little bit of work off screen. And that's just because obviously I've got my Cloudflare secrets and tokens and certs and all that good stuff that, as much as I love you guys, I don't want to be sharing with you. So let me just go to that. So I'm just hopping back onto the GitHub just to check out my scripts again. So to get this up and running, I'm going to create a new shell script. I'm just going to call this one. Oh, did I click edit? I didn't mean to do that. I wanted to do a new file. Oh, okay. Yeah, I think I've just got this as deploy.sh. Yeah, which works for want of a better name. And if we go to Traefik PiHole, we want this script here. So I'm going to copy this script and I'm going to put it into that new file. I'm going to save that. I'm just going to double check if there's anything I need to change in here. One of the things that I did do in here was to update the version of Cert Manager. I'll see if I can blow that up a bit. I updated the Cert Manager to be 13.2, which I believe is the latest version. But that's pretty much it. I don't think anything's changed. So all of that looks good, and you'll know that when this script first runs, it'll pull down the necessary files that you need. So if I give this a refresh, and remember to make this, oh, I did do, I can jump into here. I'm going to Control C. That won't stop this running, it will just stop us watching this. And I should be able to now go to /Longhorn. Sorry, no. Oop, that would have been fun. Deploy. Sorry, yeah. I knew I'd done something wrong. It's that beer already, I'm telling you. So now that's executable, so I can do /deploy. And fingers crossed, that should go and pull, and then it should exit, and then it should say, hey, you need to go and update. Ah, oh, okay, we've got a kernel update, great. Let's just ignore that, and fingers crossed everything should still be working. So this is just going away now, and it's cloned my repo. And if I now refresh in here, we should see manifest and helm. Yeah, there we go, so we've got those. So this is the bit now where I need to sort of squirrel away on my machine and just copy over the files that contain all of my Cloudflare APIs and my secrets, etc. So I'm just going to do that quickly off screen, and I'll try and catch some questions if I can. For Kubernetes, do I necessarily need to use the nginx ingress, or can I use the normal one pointing to the load balancer, because ingress is not fun? No. Well, yes, you can choose what you want, and in this instance, we're using Traefik, so that's replacing the nginx ingress. But in RKE2, it defaultly comes with nginx. You can again disable that and use Traefik, and that's kind of what I've done. It's basically open to you. It's a bit of a sandbox. Don't worry, Drauku. This will be available on YouTube, so you'll be able to watch this from the start at your leisure. So don't worry about that. Okay, let me just do this off screen. All I'm going to be doing is exactly what it says on the instructions. here. So need to change all the files, and remember, if you refer to my video, it will tell you exactly which ones that you need to change. And I know it works because I've had a number of you guys go away and do this already, so that was good to see actually. So I'm just going to copy these over now. But yeah, feel free to keep the questions coming. Sorry, I've just got my my concentration face on for a moment. That can go over there. Yeah, and hopefully we should also be able to get to the dashboard as well, which will be great. So now I'm on to the fun bit, which is checking all my certs. So yeah, just bear with me a moment. Issuers, right. So I'm just changing the issuers now, which is the details that you need to issue your certificate. So that includes the Cloudflare secret if you're using Cloudflare. Sorry if I haven't covered all the others, there's just too many to get through, and I recommend Cloudflare. It's pretty good, not only for that service, but obviously all the things like the tunnels and the proxies, etc. Let's not get onto tunnels in this conversation. I think you know my feelings about those. Let me delete that one. Right, let me just double check all of these files that I've copied across now. Yeah, that looks good. Secret looks good. Values look good. Yeah, perfect. Okay, so I'm going to bring that back across. Let me just check that that's working. Yep, fine. And as you can see here, I've copied over the values, basically the default headers. I basically copy and pasted this from my live video at the moment. Sorry, my live cluster at the moment. And you can see in here, issuers, I've got my secret in there. I've got the certificate for my production in there, which will go and pull that. So now we should be in a position to rerun the previous script. So let me just double check my own instructions to make sure that that is correct. Yeah, that's fine. So even I need to check. And I'm going to press up, and fingers crossed we should be able to run this script, and we should have traffic pulled with a valid certificate. PiHole is not going to work because we need to set up a PVC. So let's go and do that now. Traffic's not going to work because I forgot to update the... they changed the syntax, didn't they, of the entry points. So let me just go and tweak that, and then we'll have to redeploy this, but it should work. So yeah, there you go. Just so you know, I do make mistakes as well. Let me just log into my live production because I've actually got this up and running. Yes, so just trying to think which bit it is. And it's because I've copied over the old values when I should have copied over the new values. So it's in Helm, it's in, I think it's in here. So yeah, the bit that's changed is the port section, and they've added this priority part that you need to put in there. So if I now go back to my values.yaml file, in Traefik. Don't want that, that's my live one. So go to Traefik, the values.yaml file. If I go down to here, you'll see that that's missing. So I'm simply going to paste that over the top. And now you'll see that that's there. I'm going to hit save. And then hopefully I should be able to rerun that deploy. Now the good news there is it's going to complain about things already existing. And that's fine. It shouldn't change things. And there we go, bang, straight away. We've got Traefik deployed. Excellent, and it's still continuing on. So now if I head back into Rancher, oh no, I don't want to open Steam. We should be in a good spot. So back into Rancher. If we now go to more services and we go to Cert Manager, we can see that the cluster issue is there. The certificate request is unavailable. Now, that's not an error. That's just because the DNS challenge is propagating. And hopefully in a minute or two, that will change to completed. And this certificate here will come up and say available or completed. I can't remember what it says. But we're just going to have to let that stay for a second. You'll probably see the challenges here. So these challenges, there you go. Waiting for DNS1 challenge, DNS record for Jim's Garage is not yet propagated. So that's just going to take a little bit of time, but it should work. I'm going to leave that up on screen, just answer some questions. What are my thoughts on Ceph for a 3-node Proxmox cluster? I think Ceph's great. I think it's awesome. I don't use it. I will cover it in a later video. I feel like because I don't... Oh, there we go. The certificate's ready. Excellent. So we should now have a valid certificate, HTTPS up top. We'll go and check that out in a moment. And hopefully we should have an IP address that's available. So if I now do kubectl get svc-n Traefik, you can see that it's 200.15 on this one. That's wrong. That's because I've copied over my actual other one because I'm copying over the configs and I've not thought this one through. So I'm going to go and change that back. I'm trying to think what my actual proxy was. I've probably got that in here. What should it be? Yeah, 3.65. So I'm going to copy that and I'm going to go back into Traefik and fix that. However, one thing that's useful now that we've got Rancher is we can actually change the service itself. So rather than do that, let me go into the services here. And if we edit this YAML, you can see here the load balancer IP is 215. So if I change that and paste this in 3.65, I should be able to hit save. And now that should change it. And fingers crossed, if I run this again, nope, that didn't work. Why did that not work? Okay, well, I'll tell you what. I'll go and change the value in the Helm traffic file. If I scroll down, and then hopefully, with any luck, I can just do a Helm upgrade, and then that should work. So now that we've got a new value, we can do a Helm upgrade. So if I get the command for that, yeah, so if we do a Helm install, Helm install namespace traffic, That should work. Of course, can't use that namespace. Let me just try and upgrade. Would that work? Yeah, okay, so that's now redeployed it. Fingers crossed. Why is it not doing that? I'll uninstall. No, because I don't want it to pull another certificate. That's the issue. But maybe no, it shouldn't do. Right, if I do a Helm uninstall, let me just double check the syntax first. I don't think it requires that. Don't think it requires that. Right, so Trafik's now uninstalled. So hopefully I can install Traefik again using those values. Right, so that's now been deployed. Has that now fixed this issue here? So there's 3.65. Yes, phew. I was sweating a bit there, guys, I'm not going to lie. But yeah, we're back up and running now. So now with any luck, hopefully that's given you an idea of things do go wrong, and that's an idea of how you can fix them. Even I make mistakes. But now, hopefully I should be able to go to this. Now I need to log into my PiHole just because I can't remember exactly which DNS record. But it goes to say I've created a DNS record for this. And I just need to find out which one it is. So if I go to Traefik, let me just check. I've got nothing on here I can't share. But yeah, I basically got here Traefik 2. So if I go to Traefik 2, oh, why is that not right? It's probably because I need to do it incognito. Nope. Interesting. Why has that happened? It's never easy, is it? So it's not saying secure. So what's it saying? This is probably, yeah, the Traefik default cert. So why is that not working? Maybe it hasn't put the certificate into the right place. Let's just double check that. So that is in the namespace of Traefik, so that's right. So why isn't that working? That is unusual. Let's just try that again. Let me just check, has it got all of the services installed? Actually, where's Traefik? Usually Trafik's down on here. Ah, there it is. Okay, so we've got ingress route for the Traefik dashboard. Is that using... Ah, there we go, that's why. it's set to Traefik. That's because, again, I've copied it over. I should have changed that. So let me edit that. Hopefully, if I put Traefik 2, that all looks fine. So let me save that. Middlewares. Those should all be right. So let me just try that again. Oh, there we go. So, sorry about that, folks. But now if I do Traefik 2, I need to do it in a incognito. What? It just worked. I literally just had it on the screen working. Why is it not working? Well, this is not going to plan. What is going on? Sorry, just check if they got any questions. Let me just check the files again off screen, and I might just try and deploy Traefik again once more. I might have just copied everything over without being careful enough. Ah, there we go, that's why. So if I go into the default headers, yeah, I've been stupid. So in the ingress routes, I've got the wrong namespace specified. So Traefik default headers. That's fine for the auth, and then I think it's this one here. Yeah, that one's wrong. So let me just check that one. Sorry about this, guys. Yeah, so I think I need to clone this, and I'll put this into Traefik. I should have done that, and it's actually in my files. Let's call it default headers. Now that's done that. See if that fixes it. I think this is looking better. So let me admin and paste that in. It's not secure. Why is it not secure? Yeah, this is not giving you much confidence that I know what I'm doing here. What have I got? Basic auth, ingress routes, Traefik. Yeah, blame Traefik, Jeffrey, you're right. It's something I've done stupidly by copying over the these files from the from the example here. So I'm just going to go back because I've rushed it, and you should never rush anything with Kubernetes. So let's have a look. So the ingress here, that looks right. That should be that. I know what it is. It's because I didn't tell it to use the TLS secret. Idiot. If you go to my dashboard here, Traefik dashboard, and you look at the ingress, you'll see that the TLS name is still commented out. So yeah, my error. I was stupid. I should have got rid of that. Let me just make sure those indents are right. And save that. Now let's try to kubectl apply -f, and then where's this? This is slash, so helm Traefik dashboard and then ingress. So that's configured, so configured means it's changed. So that's one more thing we fixed. So let me just now try Traefik 2. And it would actually help if I change that to Jim's Garage -TLS. Sorry folks. So let's apply that. That's configured. And now let me try it. No, that's still not working, but that was one. Okay, let me try something else. That looks okay. The secret looks okay. This is frustrating because I wanted to have all the. I wanted to be onto Authentik by now. That looks okay. That looks okay. That looks okay. Right, I'm going to nuclear option. I'm going to uninstall Traefik, and then I'm going to install it again. And then, okay. So, did that help? Oh, sorry guys. Yes, there we go. You can see now that I've got a connection secure, certificate is valid, dots Jim's Garage, and yeah, that was created today, 2nd December at 9 o'clock. Sorry about that. I shouldn't have rushed that. That's my fault for being an idiot. But now we fixed that. That's up and running. And as you can tell, that's running just these services. We've got nothing fancy on there. So we're all good. That's fixed. So I've lost where we were. Yes, we were going to deploy PiHole. So now we want to apply PiHole. And to do that, if I remember, we've got to go to Longhorn. And we want to create a volume. So we'll create a volume. Actually, no, the namespace doesn't exist. So we'll do a kubectl, create namespace. I've forgotten the syntax of that. Right, I think it's just PiHole. Oh, it already exists because we created that script. So yeah, sorry, I forgot we ran the script. Because we ran the script, if we look in Rancher, I think PiHole should be there, but PiHole should be failing. And yeah, if we look at it here, look, it should come up and say, yeah, there's no persistent volume claim. So to do that, we're going to create a volume. I'm going to call it PiHole. I'm not giving you 20 gigs, that's far too much. I'll give you 3. 3 replicas, so all of this data is going to be over the 3 nodes. We'll hit OK. And that's detached because we need to now create a PVC. So this is a volume claim. So we've created a volume. Now we need to create a claim so that PiHole can claim this volume. So we're going to put this in the namespace of PiHole. Hit OK. That's created, and now this should, with any luck, come up and say attaching. Let me just blow that up. And I'll do the same. Yeah, that's okay. Don't let me down. Yeah, there we go. Whew, phew. So now we have PiHole up and running. And I think, let me just check my PiHole, which one this is. This, for me, PiHole... yeah, so this is PiHole 3. So if I now go to PiHole 3... well, it's not up and running just yet. Yep, so that container's still creating. Again, another joy of my internet. I forget how big PiHole is. It's about 1 gig, so that's probably going to take me a few minutes. Okay, that's up and running now. So I should be able to refresh that. Oh, come on. It's still... I know why. It's the age-old admin. There we go. And I can't remember what the default password for this one was. Did I specify that in the files? Let me just double check. PiHole, is it in here? Password. Rather handy that. So if I stick in password, bingo, there we go. And nothing's using it, but the main thing is it's got a nice fancy certificate. Now, what a lot of people ask me is, what is the load balancer IP all about for PiHole? And if you look in my GitHub file, you'll see that the load balancer is 67. And now, if you remember, the Traefik, sorry, was 65. Now, the reason you need this is because all of you'll basically set 67 now as your DNS resolver. So basically, it's listening on all of the DHCP stuff. Sorry, all of the DNS ports for this IP address. But you're actually going to the web GUI. Oops, sorry, wrong button. We're actually going through the web GUI. We're routing this through the proxy. So this gives us a nice certificate for our web front end, but it gives us access via the load balancer to use this as our DNS resolver. So that's that. We've now got that up and running. I was going to show the cube VIP, wasn't I? So if we go to daemon sets, it's empty. Why is it empty? Well, only use namespaces. So let's put it on all namespaces. And there we see cube VIP DS. So you'll see that there's 3 currently. So if I go to edit this configuration, actually I want to edit as YAML, makes life a bit easier. And if I scroll down, where's the affinities? Here we go. These node selector terms here. So it needs to match basically control plane and master. So let me just double check. I'm going to double check what I've got on GitHub so I don't get this wrong again. But I can basically delete the selectors and it should then apply it to the others. And then fingers crossed, I can change this from a cluster to local, which will preserve that local IP space. So I've actually got that handily in here. So now I'm just going to have to cross-reference quickly which bit I don't need. So the tolerations can stay. I think it's the bit before. I think it's the node affinity we can get rid of. Yeah, the node selector. So I think, famous last words, where's that indent? That's down there. Yeah, I think I can get rid of this section here. So I'm just going to, so we can get it back. Where's my hashtag key working? That's not helpful. Can I just delete that? And then save. Yeah, there we go. Phew, I did it right. So 5 out of 8. So it's now going to go and deploy kubevip on all of our nodes. And we can just double check that. Actually, we can go back and we can double check that by clicking there. And you can see now that it's deployed on 1, 2, 3, and so on every single node. Great. So now, fingers crossed, we can go to the service for 1 second. We can now go to the services for these in here. I'm going to put this back to user namespaces to make life easier. And if I now edit that in the YAML and I change this from a cluster for the external, I should be able to save that as a local. So save that. And also I should be able to save it for PiHole as well. And remember, this is the one for all of the DNS stuff. So change this cluster to local. And if this has worked, I should still have access to PiHole. I do. I'm going to copy and paste this into an incognito tab just to prove that that's true. Nope. Why is that? Let me just take this off. What have I not done? So that's right, that's right. Let me just double check the kubevip actual deployment in here. SVC enable, that's the bit that you need to have on as well to make this work. So let me just double check that I've got that. So if we go back to kubevip, so all namespaces, and it was a daemon set. So if I edit the config, let me just double check that I've got the service enabled. I do. So it wasn't that. That looks right. I'll tell you what, I'm going to scale down this deployment for Traefik, and then I'll scale it back up. So if I hit redeploy, and then if I redeploy Traefik as well, PiHole as well, I'll see if that makes a difference. Sorry, I'll just check if there's any questions. Don't worry, D Bishop, you can watch in the stream anyway. The issue with my Traefik was I hadn't selected the certificate to use, and then I simply deleted the Traefik installation and then reinstalled it, and it worked. The advantage of having kubevip on every node is you need that if you want the local policy to take effect. But I'm not managing to demonstrate that, unfortunately, in this this live demonstration. But you absolutely do. If you look on my live cluster, that's what's set up. And I did have it working on one of my videos. I'm just obviously missing something daft under the pressure of live streaming. But that is definitely how it works. I'm just trying to think. Yeah, I think I've got KubeVip on the workers because I've done the 8. Maybe I didn't. Let me just double check, because I've actually, how many nodes have I got? Yeah, I've got 8 nodes, and KubeVip should be on here. Yeah, KubeVip is here, so it is listening. Which is the bit I can't think why. Maybe if I look at Traefik, perhaps I've made a mistake with Traefik where it is. Let me just go to user namespaces. Let's have a look. Yeah, so it is on my worker node, which is correct. I'm going to scale it down 1 anyway. I don't need 3. Yeah, I don't know what I'm missing. Obviously something simple, but I can't think what it is. So I've changed that to deploy to each node, which is correct. The service is enabled, which is correct. Maybe I redeploy KubeVip. Let me just try that. Yeah, it probably is DNS. But that's going away and now redeploying. I think it redeployed anyway. Yeah. This is frustrating. What's up with PiHole? Oh, it's just creating that new container. Like I said, my internet's terrible, so it's still downloading PiHole to redeploy it. But it won't make a difference because, like I say, that local isn't taking effect for some reason. And I can't think what I've done wrong. Let me do a Google search. Yeah, it's this part here on the documentation. In order for the local traffic policy to work, a load balancer service's VIP needs to be exposed from a node that has one of the pods that is part of that service. So that's why I made sure that it's exposed on the worker, and that is where Traefik is installed. And as I said before, the traffic will go direct to the pod and not the services network, i.e. that middle KubeVip bit. In KubeVip, a service can be created with local if the enabled services election has been enabled. That's the env underscore services true, which is there. So yeah, I'm not entirely sure why it's not working. And you can see here the external traffic policy is set to local. So I'm not entirely sure why that isn't working. Which is really frustrating because I have it working and I had it working on my video. Yeah, let me just see. if I edit it in here and apply it, see if that works. So if I go to Helm and then if I change the values in the Helm deployment, maybe if I uninstall it and then reinstall it with the external policy true, that might work. So I think it goes in here. I think that's right. Let me just double check. Yeah, so it goes in the spec and it is the external traffic policy local. So I'll try one last time. If this doesn't work, I'll just have to come back to it. I want to get on to trying to do Authentik before it gets too late. So yeah, I probably could have done an upgrade there instead, but just to be sure. And yeah, that didn't make any difference. So let's just see, did it actually take effect? So the services for traffic created 20 seconds ago, that's right. Edit the YAML. And yeah, the external traffic policy is set to local. And the daemon sets, we can see that we do have kubevip installed on every one. And if I the daemon set, if I go back to that and I edit the configuration, we can see that SVC is enabled, so it should be working. The VIP is correct. So yeah, I'm not entirely sure why that's not working. Sorry guys, I'll have to come back to that another time. But let me show you on my production cluster, just so you can see that. Try not to give away anything in here. Edit the YAML. Yeah, so this is my production-ish cluster, and if you look down here, I've got the external traffic policy set to local, and I'm just going to put this over here. And if I head to my normal PiHole, this is my real PiHole, as you can see, over 1 million queries. This is working, and if I go to the query log, let me just make sure there's nothing embarrassing in there. There shouldn't be. You can see here that I've got actual local IP addresses, so it is working. So I'll have to have a think about what that is. I'm obviously doing something dumb and missing it out. Sorry, Lucium. You had something about changing from cluster to local on the YAML for PiHole towards the end. Yeah, I did, but I think I've changed that anyway within the service discovery here. If you look at the PiHole, this should now have that external traffic policy local here, and when you hit save, it should go and apply it. So yeah, really frustrating. I can't think what it is that I'm not doing right. Yeah, really annoying. But clearly something daft. I can't remember if is there something on the host that I need to change to install. Anyway, scrap that. We're going to go back to cluster for now for this video, because I want to get on to Authentik. Edit that, and maybe once I get Authentik, we're up and running. Although I've not got a good track record today, fingers crossed we should be okay. So yeah, now that's back and working, and hopefully Traefik 2 should be up and running. Yeah, so that's back and working now. So unfortunately, it's not going to get obviously the real IP, but I'll think about that later. So let's head over to the Authentik Kubernetes documentation. So here we go. So we're going to need Kubernetes. Well, good job we've got that. And we're going to need Helm. Good job we've got that. Generating passwords for the databases and cache. You can use either of the following commands. And those, I assume, you're going to paste them into here, so that's fine. I'm probably just going to leave it as this, albeit it might not like those. Yeah, sod it. I'll tell you what. We'll run this just to keep it happy. I don't know if we've got this ready and installed. Yeah, okay. Is it going to find that? Yes, go away. Brilliant. Okay, so now we can generate passwords. Okay, right. Let's hop onto here, and I'm going to create a new folder. I'll call this one Authentik. And within Authentik, we create a new file, values.yaml. And I'm just going to copy this. I'm going to paste that in. Let me make that a little bit bigger for you guys. And so, yeah, we can just copy these in now. So I'm going to copy this one. We'll generate another one. Generate another one. I'll copy these in. That looks right. Am I missing one? Oh yeah, the bottom one. Wait there. That's the PostgreSQL, so I guess, yeah, those need to be the same. Fine, okay. Right. Let's go and add the repo. Right, that's been added. Let's do the repo update. And then let's install Helm, but we want to do our values from Helm, Authentik, and then values. Let's go and see what happens. Oh, well, this looks good. What's up now? Release Authentik does not exist. One error. Authentik is invalid. Spec invalid value. Nginx traffic Kong lowercase. Oh, domain. So I must have something I didn't fill in properly. Did it not like that? Ingress class name. Yeah, there we go. So it should be traffic. Is it going to like that? Well, it's having a think about it this time. Yeah, there we go. Excellent. So let's go and have a look. User namespaces. Yeah, here we go. It's just created a ton of services. Whoops, I didn't specify the namespace, did I? That's my mistake. So when you do this, make sure you do the create namespace Authentik and put it into that one. But it shouldn't make too much of an issue for this demonstration. I think my lack of beer is what's causing these issues. So if we go to the workloads, the deployments, Authentik servers being deployed, the worker's already been deployed. So let's have a look inside the server. Yeah, and because it doesn't have any node selections specified, node selectors, it's gone and put it on one of the master nodes, which is not what we want to do. So if I wanted to, I could obviously select something like, let's have a look at the Traefik one. We could just put in the node selectors. I'm just going to copy it so I don't get the syntax wrong. Do I not have... Ah, there we go, node selector. So I'll just put that in. And then you could just put that in there like that. And save that, and then you could do the upgrade again. What beer is this? This is an Anarchy Brew Citrus Star Session IPA 4.1%. Didn't want anything too strong given what we're dealing with here. So now if I did an upgrade, just to demonstrate that. So this is still up and running. If I rerun the Helm upgrade, fingers crossed this one in the background will be deleted because this node doesn't match. Yeah, there you go. So it's creating, and then yeah, it's sticking it on number 4 now instead of 3. So because this is scale 1, what should happen is when it creates this server container here, it should say, hey, we've got 2. We shouldn't have 2 because the scale is only 1. And because it's specified that it needs to be worker is true, it should say that this is the right one. This one doesn't satisfy the constraints we've specified, so it should delete this one here. So that took about a couple of minutes to download. So unfortunately, we're probably going to have to sit here because it's downloading a new image to that node again, and it's going to need to complete that before it can deploy. Okay, it's running. Come on, you should get rid of this one. Let me just refresh. Nope. Well, it shouldn't be running more than one, so I don't know why it is. It's actually saying that it's still waiting as well. So there must be something that's not quite finished yet. So, what's wrong with PiHole? It's probably because it's trying to access... it created a PVC, so that's possibly the reason. So they're bound, it created it. That's fine. So I think if I delete this one, that should come up now if we look on here, and it's attaching it to the new one. Fingers crossed. But anyway, get back to Authentik and let's try and work this one out. So if you delete that one. Right, well, we'll scale it down, see what happens. And then let's scale it back up. So it did put it on a worker node, which is what we wanted. Let's check in here. So it looks like there's an issue with the database because it hasn't actually created any data yet. So why is that? So I think we need to go and find out what's happening with Authentik Postgres. That's not going to find the pod. It will find it in here. Yeah, here we go. So why are there any errors? Nope, it's just creating the container. So it might just be, again, because my internet is so slow. I often get tripped up by this because containers, I think, are expecting to be spun up quicker than they are, and it's because my internet's so poor that it's very slow. I think what we can do in the meantime, however, is if we head back into our host, we can start creating the manifest files like these to be able to connect to Authentik. So let me try and do this on the fly. If I copy these, and I'll create a new set of manifest files for Authentik, and if I paste those in here, if we go into the default headers, unfortunately because I put this in the default namespace, we're going to have to change this to default. The ingress, I've already got Authentik, so I'm going to have to use Authentik 2, and I'm going to have to add a DNS entry in PiHole for this. That's not going to work because the service isn't called Authentik, I don't think. What? Oh, it is. Okay. And that does look like the browser. Yeah, that would go to their Authentik 80. Yeah, fine. It's not working because the container's not up and running yet. So that's right. So that's going to apply Authentik 2 to Authentik. That needs to be Authentik 2. Again, service, and it's going to use the default headers, and we want it to use my secret. That's right. So I think that looks okay. I'm just going to change the name of this. Not that it matters, but it's more for you guys. I'll change this to actually, we're not going to need a deployment file because we've done it with a Helm, so we should be able to just delete that. And then we've got the headers and the ingress, and we've already got the service that's created by the Helm. So fingers crossed, I should be able to do a cube ctl apply -f slash manifest manifest slash Authentik. And you can do it at the folder level, so it should do them both. Error when creating ingress namespace Authentik. Oops. Yeah, sorry, that should be default. So let's now rerun that. Yeah, and that's created them both. So I'm now going to head over to my PiHole, and I'm going to create a new record for Authentik 2. And I'm going to point it to this Traefik IP address, which is 192.168.3.65, I believe. Yeah, okay. And let's just see if those pods are actually up and running yet. So no, those are still container creating. So are there any error messages? Oh yes, actually, what's happening here? Redis master is not happy. Volume cannot be scheduled. Why is that? Redis is up and running and looks fine. So what's in the logs? Ready to accept connections. So I'm not sure what's happening there. Okay. I wonder how big that image is. I'm going to see the bitnami PostgreSQL. Is this going to tell us how large it is? No, it's probably about it's probably a number of gigabytes, and my machine's not happy about that. Let me just see if there's anything. It won't have any logs because it's not running. What does this say here? Unhealthy. I think the server's unhealthy because it hasn't got the... Oh, here we go. Unable to attach mount volumes. Timed out, waiting for the condition. Attach volume found. Node K3S 03 not found. The node's not found. Interesting. It should be. Okay. Oh, wait there. I know why. Now, because I didn't specify the node selection, it's tried to schedule a volume onto this, and we haven't got Longhorn equals true on here, so it can't create a volume, so we're going to have to do something about that. Actually, no, I'm talking rubbish. That's Redis, sorry, isn't it? We need to check out the Postgres one. And yeah, it hasn't even... yeah, I don't even know what that is. Attached to PostgreSQL 0. Interesting. So if we... Right, I think the best thing to do is to probably redeploy Authentik, because now that we've got the node selectors, fingers crossed it should go and come off of that and create a new one. Actually, I'll tell you what, we're going to delete it first, just so it gets rid of all those PVCs. It's uninstall, isn't it? I'm used to using kubectl. Uninstall. Oh, I can tell I'm getting tired. What was it for? Namespace traffic. Ah, that's fine. Yeah, you don't want to uninstall with the install flag set. Right, so that's gone and done it. Has that got rid of it? Yeah, it's got rid of it anyway. So that's going away, detaching and deleting those. So Authentik. I should be able to delete those. Delete. Yeah, those are going. So now we've got the node selectors correct. And I'm going to change the namespace as well, so it puts it in its own namespace, and then I'll quickly update the namespaces in here. So we're going to do Authentik, and we'll create that one in here. Namespace Authentik, yes, and then we want to do the create namespace when we do the installation. So we can do that with Helm, but I'll just do it here anyway. Okay, and then let's install Authentik, and then we want to specify -- namespace Authentik. So let's see if that works. Sorry guys, I'll just check if there's any questions. Right, so that's deployed. Now it's in the namespace of Authentik, and fingers crossed it shouldn't be trying to deploy that onto nodes that don't have access, albeit failed to attach a volume. Why is it trying to attach it to KES02? I'm doing something stupid. They shouldn't be schedulable. Ah. There we go. That's a problem. I should have checked this earlier. It's allocated too much. So we don't have the space to give it. So it can't schedule it. So we've got an issue. So let's go and fix that. So I'll bring down K3S 01 first. Let me shut this down. Now I should drain this, that's the proper way to do it, but because I've got two others, I'm just going to shut down one and then upgrade it, and because it's got the other two available, it should be okay. So if I resize this, let's give it an extra, I'm just going to give it 20, which is overkill, but it's just to make the point. So if we now start that one, and then hopefully we should see that one come back up. So that one probably shouldn't be there now. Yeah, and this is timed out because it obviously had something running, which was running the UI on the node we showed down. And you can see that it's down in the background. That should come back up in a moment. Yeah, that's been up for 20 seconds. So any moment now, that should start coming back up. We can see it now back up within Rancher. And yeah, hopefully, there we go. Now it's schedulable again. I'm not sure what's going on in this one. I think because this one's fine. I suspect it's just because we've been failing over and trying to install over and over. It probably hasn't gone and deleted some of that space. So I'm just going to shut down node 2 and do the same process. And fingers crossed, it should start working now. Sometimes these nodes can take a while to shut down because technically you shouldn't be doing like this. You should be draining it first and then shutting it down, but I'm being impatient. Yeah, well, hopefully, Drauku, you're learning from my mistakes, and yeah, hopefully some of this stuff is useful. Like I say, hopefully this gives you an insight into when I say I'm not a master of all of this stuff. I persevere and I get a lot of this stuff working. I kind of know how it works, but there's still things that I'm still getting wrong and learning as well. It's probably waiting for something to stop if we log in. Yeah, there we go. It's using it's trying to close down container D, which is running all of the containers. So this should complete sometime soon. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so now it's turning off. Power down. So now we can increase the size of this disk. Again, I'll give it another 20. That's done. And then let's start this one up. And then, yeah, if we have a look in here, we can see it's unavailable because it's down. And this should come up and running very shortly. I think the last one was about 20 seconds, so it should be about the same, given that they're exactly the same VM running on the same hardware. Yeah, okay, that's active again now. And in Longhorn, that should come back in a moment. Yeah, perfect. Okay, that's fixed now. So if we go back to the cluster, oh, pulled and created. Oh no, those are the instance managers. I was getting too excited then. Let's see what's happening with these volumes. So these are still detached. Let's go and have a look at the deployment. So it's still updating. The worker's up and running, which is good. That says the container's running. But if we look at the pods, okay, still says it's creating. Maybe it's creating now because it's got the space. Fingers crossed. So this should now be downloading in the background. That all looks okay. I should probably get the logs just for that deployment. Okay, well it looks like PiHole's fixed itself. Yep, okay, great, that's all sorted. So that's working again, and we've still got the valid cert, albeit we don't have the traffic policy working. I need to think what the issue is there. Don't know why it says it's running, but it's not ready. So I guess it's because... Oh, it is running now. But those are still creating. Don't know if it's doing something funny with some caching. I should probably go and check the actual deployment. I think what I might do is uninstall it again. Sorry, uninstall Authentik. Why is that release not found? Interesting. What have I done wrong there? Fine, we'll do it this way. And hopefully now it's got enough space. Let's just check. So we'll get rid of those. Yeah, they've got tons of room now. Perfect. Let's namespace Authentik. Yes. Yep, okay. So why is it saying that? Longhorn node K3S not found. Don't know why it's trying to attach it to that when we've specified the worker nodes. Let me go to storage, the storage classes. I'm going to get rid of that. It's already using Longhorn anyway, that shouldn't make a difference. Hi Bertrand, welcome. Oh, sorry guys, I'll be back in a moment. Oh, I know what it's doing. I'm being stupid. I need to specify the node selector for these two pods as well. I thought it would just read it from all of them. I suspect I've got to... There's Postgres and read. I suspect I need to do... this potentially. So for here, unless maybe I should read the instructions actually. Is there a link to a full values.yaml file? That would be useful. Maybe it's on GitHub. Nope. Where is the Helm chart? Right. Never mind. I'm just going to save that and try it again. So that's deployed again. Let me just check if that actually works now. I can't remember. I don't know the syntax of the pods. No, that didn't work because it's put them on the wrong ones again. It might need to be in the spec. So if we look at here, usually the node selector is where it was on the first time, and the first time I ran it, it actually put Authentik on the right one, but it was these two that it didn't put on the right one. So for some reason it seems like they're not honoring the node selector. Yeah, it's going to throw the same error. So at least I know what the problem is. I just don't know why it isn't attaching to my worker nodes. I wonder if I just... this is not the right way to do it. I keep deleting it, see if it comes up with on the node that I want it to, just to check that this is the issue. I hate doing it this way. This is not right. I just don't know why it's not honouring the... Why is it not honouring the node selector? Yeah, so actually, on here, node selector, it was right, what I was specifying. But for some reason, it wasn't applying to the other nodes. Sorry, the other pods. That's really weird. So I'll edit this node and just add the Longhorn is true to it, just to see if I can get this actually up and running. And then I'm going to have to probably work out off stream another day how to actually make it so that the pods honour the node selector, because I'm not sure why they're not. So yeah, those should start coming up on here now, which we don't really want them to do. But it probably means that these can start up at least now, I would think. So Authentik now, it's failed because unable to attach the volume, K3S not found. That might be because it's still pulling all of these, so it can't do it just yet. I believe it is schedulable and ready. Right, node 3 is not happy now. Right, instant manager started. Oh, volume has been attached. Okay, attaching. So, it looks like it's now deploying. But just obviously not where we want them to. But at least that's some progress. So I think we've established that we know where the issue is. It's that for some reason the node selector's not being honoured. But other than that, I don't know why it isn't, because I've followed the syntax in the documentation. But okay, that's now attached. So, does Authentik 2 work? Let's try that. Let's have a look. Is that all up and running? Let's have a look in the logs. Failed connection. The server running on that host and accepting. Connection refused. Okay. Well, doesn't sound good, but at least it's progress. How long has that been trying to do that? Maybe... Oh, it's still creating these apparently. So maybe that's the issue. Okay, Postgres is now running. That's changed. Excellent, gone green. Now Redis master's going green running. And hopefully then this will. Again, if I had faster internet, this would probably be much quicker. Shall we have a look at the logs again now? Okay. Oh, here we go. This looks better. It's now connected to the database. And hopefully in here, yeah, we're starting to see some data being written. So, fingers crossed. Don't worry, Arsenio. You can watch this on YouTube. It will be recorded. You'll see me failing miserably for about an hour and a half, but I've made some progress today. Waiting to acquire a database lock. There we go. This all looks good so far. Can we follow it? Okay, booting the worker. Alright, this all starts to look promising. Okay, so let's, before we do anything with the proxy, can we access it here? Oh, okay, well, something's working. Let's go home. Oh, connection error. Right, this looks like it's actually starting to work. I think, as Bertrand's mentioning, I think this is just going to take some time to sync up in the background. So let's just give it some time. You think it's a worker issue? Okay, let's have a look at that. Success, success, success. Logs look good. Let's have a look at the server logs again. Healthy and ready, healthy and ready. That sounds good. What's happened here? Failure. The server could not find the requested resource. Interesting. Okay. Right, let's create an ingress route for Authentik, and then let's see where we get to. Handily, I've got one of those for my existing one. I'll just copy that over. me just double check that. Yep, should be port 80. That looks right. We probably want to clone this into Authentik. We can call it Authentik. We can do that. Right. Middlewares. We probably want to clone that into. What's this? Default headers. Authentic. Right. There you go, guys. Whew. Right, I'm having a beer. We're not out of the woods yet, but this is looking promising. So let's do Jim at jimsgarage.co.uk. Oh no, I'm being stupid. It's not asking to. I need to go to the register. What's that? I should know. That's in my own instructions. Authentic. Did I actually put that? No, I didn't. I should have put that in the instructions, shouldn't I? Does anyone know? Can anyone paste in chat what the URL is? I can't remember what it is. That was it. Flow.YourEnrollment, was it? Oh yeah, flow. Your enrollment flow? Is that it? No. I forgot what it is. Has anyone got it? I remember it just being buried somewhere. That was it. Initial setup. Oh. No, what have I done wrong? IF flow. Oh, it would help if I could spell properly. Oh, what? Authentic. Does it need a slash on the end? Yeah, it needed a slash on the end. Okay. Right, we're finally getting somewhere. I might be able to go to bed tonight. Woohoo! We're in. Let's create a new application. I'm going to take this off screen just so I don't give away any personal information with a pre-populate. So I've just created the application. and I'm now trying to remember my video because I need to create a provider. It's going to be OAuth i2. It's going to be called Portainer. Obviously, I'm going to do Portainer based upon my most recent video. Finish. Now, application, I'm going to go back into there and I'm going to edit that, and I'm going to put the provider as Portainer and update. Okay. So sorry, I'll put that back on screen for you now. So I've created the provider, Portainer, application Portainer, and obviously we're still going through the proxy. So I think I'm going to log into my existing Portainer. I'll log in. So I'm just doing it off screen just in case I've got anything there. Haven't prepped this earlier. Right. And then I need to remember from my video all of the endpoints for Portainer, because I'm currently using Citadel because that was my last video. So let me go to settings, authentication. Yeah, hopefully there's nothing too dodgy on here. So I need to change all of these, and I'll be honest, I can't remember exactly what they look like, so let me get that up and running. So application Portainer and here we go, thank God. Alright. The authorize is that one. So there we go. Access token, I think is that one. The resource URL. I've forgotten what the resource URL one is. What does it look like for Citadel? We'll chance it. The redirect is here. The logout. Does it have a logout? Yeah, it does. Great. That all looks fine. Obviously, I need to change the client ID and the client secret. I think that's in the application. No, I think I remember. You had to click edit on one of them. Yeah, that was it. Client ID. And then the client secret. Save. That's saved. So, here we go. I'm not feeling very confident about this one. You've logged out of Portainer. Go back. So now, if I go back to Portainer, let's try and log back in. You're about to sign into Portainer. Okay, what happened? Failure. Unauthorized. I think I might need to create the user. Let me just log on back using the internal authentication first. And then go to settings, authentication. So yeah, automatic user provisioning is on. So I don't know why that's not working. Maybe there's a setting that I've missed in here. Sorry, I'll just check chat. Watch the trailing slash after user info. Good shout. Let me double check that one. Thank you. Yeah, you're right. That I'd missed that one off. Thank you. Good spot. So I've added this trailing slash. Save those settings. Let's try again, because that probably was it. Log out. Log in. Yes, you did it. Thank you. We get there. We get there. Well done. Thank you. So yeah, now you can see I'm James at jimsgarage.co.uk, and I'm now logged into Portainer using Authentik in Kubernetes. Whew. Job done. So the only bit I have failed you at tonight is demonstrating the external cluster. So I don't know why that is. And I also need to go back and figure out why the deployment for Authentik is not honoring our node selectors. Not sure why that is. So as you can see, they're not on the right ones. They should be on 4 and 5. But in terms of installation and configuration and it working, it works. So yeah, all good. Kind of. Right, well, I'm going to end the stream there, guys. Thanks so much for watching and sticking up with me. 2.5 hours. I do appreciate that, and thanks for all the people that have helped me. I'm going to work away in the background and try and find out why the cluster local wasn't working, because that'll be really frustrating for a lot of you. And like I say, I have that running currently, and in my video I had it working as well. So I've clearly missed something, and I probably need to just sit down with not the stress of live streaming and figure that out. But yeah, thanks a lot, guys. I'll be working on that to fix it, and I'll give you guys an update. But yeah, this isn't in the ideal state I want it to be. I'll do an Authentik video properly when I work it all out, so that it's proper, so that it's on the nodes that we want it to. But anyway, guys, thanks a lot. Enjoy the rest of your weekends. Take care, everybody, and I'll see you soon. Goodbye.